It's incredible.
It's going to change my life. I'm going to try to be a better person.
The news about the priesthood, being given to my people is a feeling that I don't think I'll ever be able to express in words to people.
He has heard our prayers, and by revelation has confirmed that the long-promised day has come when every faithful, worthy man in the church may receive the holy priesthood.
The historic announcement had come on June 9th in a 4-paragraph letter signed by the First Presidency and sent to priesthood leaders worldwide. Before the year was out, many blacks would be called on full-time missions, married in the temple, and called to priesthood leadership positions. In his opening address at the 148th Annual General Conference in April, President Kimball testified to the divinity and reality of Jesus Christ.
My beloved brothers and sisters, God lives, and I bear testimony of it. Jesus Christ lives, and he is the author of the true way of life and salvation. This is the message of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It is the most important message in the world today.
4 new general authorities were sustained to serve as members of the First Quorum of the 70. Ronald E. Pullman, Los Altos, California. Derek A. Cuthbert, Nottingham, England. Robert L. Backman, Salt Lake City, Utah. And Rex C. Reeves, Sr., also of Salt Lake City. An historic moment came in the second session of October Conference when members approved the revelation extending priesthood and temple blessings to all worthy male members.
Recognizing Spencer W. Kimball as the prophet, seer, and revelator, and president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it is proposed that we as a constituent assembly accept this revelation as the word and will of the Lord. All in favor, please signify by raising your right hands.
Elder James E. Faust, who had been serving in the presidency of the First Quorum of the 70, was sustained as the newest member of the Quorum of the 12. He filled a vacancy left by the death of Elder Delbert L. Stapley.
I understand that a chief requirement for the holy apostleship is to be a personal witness of Jesus as the Christ and the divine Redeemer. Perhaps on that basis alone, I can qualify.
Elder W. Grant Bangerter was named to replace Elder Faust among the 7 presidents of the First Quorum of the 70. The First Quorum of the 70 received 3 new members in October: F. Burton Howard, Bountiful, Utah; Teddy Eugene Brewerton, Calgary, Alberta, Canada; and Jack H. Goseland, Jr., Salt Lake City. In addition, the First Presidency announced a new status for some general authorities.
After a long period of prayerful consideration and counsel, extending over several years, we announce a new and specific status to be given from time to time to brethren of our associates in the general authorities. We announce that some brethren have been designated as emeritus members of the First Quorum of the 70. These brethren are not being released, but will be excused from active service. It is out of consideration for the personal well-being of the individuals and with deep appreciation for their devoted service that this designation will be given from time to time to designated members of the general authorities.
Receiving emeritus status were Elders Sterling W. Sill, Henry D. Taylor, James A. Cullimore, Joseph Anderson, William H. Bennett, John H. Vandenberg, and S. Dilworth Young. At the end of 1978, the composition of the First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12 Apostles was as follows: Spencer W. Kimball, prophet, seer, and revelator, and president of the church. Nathan Eldon Tanner, first counselor in the first presidency. Marion G. Romney, second counselor in the first presidency. Ezra Taft Benson, president of the Council of the 12 Apostles, and council members. Ezra Taft Benson, Mark E. Peterson, LeGrand Richards, Howard W. Hunter, Gordon B. Hinckley, Thomas S. Monson, Boyd K. Packer, Marvin J. Ashton, Bruce R. McConkie, L. Tom Perry, David B. Haight, and James E. Faust. Patriarch to the church was Eldred G. Smith. The presidency of the First Quorum of the 70 consisted of Franklin D. Richards, J. Thomas Fyans, A. Theodore Tuttle, Neil A. Maxwell, Marion D. Hanks, Paul H. Dunn, William Grant Bangerter. The presiding bishopric consisted of Victor L. Brown, H. Burke Peterson, and J. Richard Clark. The contributions of Mormon women received dramatic recognition during 1978 in 3 unique events. The commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Primary Association, the unveiling and dedication of the Relief Society Monument to Women in Nauvoo, and the convening of a special September conference for all women of the church 12 years of age and older. Primary centennial activities began in March with a musical play, Aurelia. The play was based on the life of Aurelia Spencer Rogers, who founded the Primary in Farmington, Utah, August 11, 1878. Primaries church-wide celebrated the centennial with commemorative parties, activities, and parades. Memories of primary activities from the past were shared and enjoyed. As a grand finale to all the celebrations, the Primary General Board hosted a commemorative dinner in the church office building. 300 children participated in a gala review of Primary's 100-year history. In June, Nauvoo, Illinois, again became the City of the Saints, as 20,000 Mormons gathered for the historic dedication of the Relief Society Monument to Women, a statuary garden on a 2-acre park adjoining the Nauvoo Visitor Center. 3 dedicatory services were held in a tent near the garden with more than 7,500 women attending. President Barbara B. Smith conducted as President Kimball presided.
The purpose of this structure is to commemorate the past, but it is more than that. The 13 pieces of statuary in this lovely garden setting are designed to share what we know to be true about the essential role, the irreplaceable contribution of women to life and to making life worth living.
The dedicatory prayer by the prophet concluded each session.
We're grateful, our Heavenly Father, for the beautiful statues that have been so artistically produced and placed here in this park, and all the beautification marks that have been given to this area. We thank Thee for.
I think they're just fantastic. I'm just so thrilled, and they just give me chills all over. I just can't believe it. They're so impressive, uplifting, really, to me. Very spiritual.
A gorgeous display of true womanhood. I wish every woman in the whole world could come and see what we have here.
The special conference for women was held in the Salt Lake Tabernacle September 16th. Proceedings were broadcast at 1,400 sites in the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand.
This is a unique and significant gathering. Nothing like it has ever been held before in the church, and so far as I know, in the world.
Jesus Christ is our Savior, our brother, our friend. He is as near as we will allow him to be. Our only ultimate joy and happiness is predicated upon our relationship with him.
What does matter is our personal relationship with the Lord and our own unshakable testimony that he cares about each one of us to be there when we really need him.
We are the people raised up to do this work. We, the women of the church, hand in hand with the men, our husbands, our sons, our brothers in the priesthood. May the Lord bless us as women with that eternal perspective.
To be a righteous woman is a glorious thing in any age. To be a righteous woman during the winding up scenes on this earth before the second coming of the Savior is an especially noble calling. She has been placed here to help, to enrich, to protect, and to guard the home, which is society's best and most noble institution. The church has been greatly saddened by the passing of Elder Delbert L. Stapley of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. He died on August 19th, 1978. Elder Stapley served faithfully and ably in the 12 for 28 years. His presence will be missed greatly, and we repeat our love and condolence extended to his family at the time of his passing.
Welcome, Brother Stapler.
Thank you, President Clark.
To this pulpit.
Thank you.
Of great honor and high responsibility.
I'm very humble about this call. And I know I require the blessings of the Lord if I fulfill such a high responsibility.
Elder Stapley had served the church in many capacities. He was a member of the Church Welfare and General Priesthood Committees, advisor to Novel Restoration Incorporated, and a mission supervisor. He was an accomplished scouter and received scouting's highest award, the Silver Buffalo. Dr. Ernest L. Wilkinson, nationally renowned attorney and educator, died on April 6th at age 78. He had served with distinction as president of Brigham Young University for 20 years. Important changes in the leadership of 3 church auxiliaries were made during the year. William D. Oswald was called to be second counselor in the general presidency of the Sunday School, with Joe J. Christensen as first counselor and Russell M. Nelson remaining as president. A new general presidency for the young women was announced in July. Elaine A. Cannon of Salt Lake City was called as president, Arlene B. Darger as first counselor, and Norma B. Smith as second counselor. In November, Shirley Thomas was called as a counselor in the Relief Society General Presidency. More members, more missions, more missionaries. That was the story throughout 1978. 107 new stakes were created during the year, more than existed after 100 years of the church's growth. Membership increased by 194,000 in 1978 over the previous year, bringing the total membership to 4,160,000 in 9,850 wards and branches. There were 990 stakes at the close of the year. But church growth is most meaningful when seen not as statistics, but as people and places. Typical of the growth pattern of church membership throughout the world is Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
In 1952, the church took on its character as a dependent branch, and a small body of saints met in the Oddfellows Hall. They met there until 1959 and moved to a house in Hopkinsville. They stayed there for approximately 8 years until 1967, when approximately 50 members of the church banded together and built a two-phase chapel where they've met until this date. In 1972, the branch became a ward and became part of the Nashville, Tennessee stake. And then in May of 1978, the church organized a stake of Zion. It's called Hopkinsville, Kentucky stake.
This pattern of growth is typical throughout the church. The number of missions rose to 166 in 1978, an increase of 10 over the previous year. By the end of the year, 27,669 full-time missionaries were in the field.
We feel that the Spirit of the Lord is brooding over the nations to prepare the way for the preaching of the gospel. Much of the technology for telling the truths of the gospel seems to be in place, but we seem somewhat tardy as a people in availing ourselves of it.
October brought the end of an era. The doors were closed on the Salt Lake Mission Home. In the future, missionaries called on English language missions would report to Provo, Utah, for 4 weeks of training at the Missionary Training Center, formerly known as the Language Training Mission. Christmas Day, 1978, will never be forgotten by the hundreds of missionaries in the Mission Training Center in Provo. President Kimball visited the center and spoke to the missionaries.
We're grateful indeed to these older folks who are going into the mission field. They perform a great service, and we love every one of them as we love every one of you younger missionaries. I remember when I was a little boy and went to Sunday school, primary, I was always the youngest in my class. And now I've reached the time when I am the oldest in the class.
In June, another structure was dedicated by the prophet, the second visitor center on Temple Square. The new center included a replica of the Salt Lake Temple baptismal font and various dioramas. During August, a monument entitled Exodus to Greatness was dedicated on the banks of the Mississippi River in Nauvoo, Illinois, by Elder Mark E. Peterson. President Kimball made an historic visit to Missouri, where he dedicated the new Independence, Missouri Stake Center. 4 issues of the Reader's Digest contained supplements supplied by the church about family life and personal development. The publication reached an estimated 50 million readers. On New Year's Day, the LDS float and the Tournament of Roses parade expressed the theme, "I am a child of God," to millions who lined the streets and watched on television. U.S. President Jimmy Carter was honored in a Salute to the Family program in November at the end of National Family Week.
Mr. President, it is my privilege to present to you on behalf of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints a token of our esteem. for your exemplary recognition of the greatest of all institutions, the family.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely beautiful. And I'm very honored, Mr. President, that you would present this to me.
In October, a new president was appointed to Ricks College. Bruce C. Hafen, attorney and scholar, was inaugurated 11th president of the school on the 90th anniversary of its founding. Area conferences were held in 5 countries in 1978, beginning in June in Hawaii, the first ever held in the United States. Over 8,000 people filled Honolulu's Blaisdell Center for the opening session.
The Book of Mormon teaching is, there is one God and one shepherd over all the earth, and the time cometh that he shall manifest himself unto all nations. It does not matter whether he lives the commandments here or elsewhere. The commandments are the same for all men in all nations of the world.
In October, nearly 3,500 members attended the first area conference to be held in South Africa. Members gathered in the Johannesburg Film Trust Arena. Some had traveled 1,000 miles to attend. 400 came from Rhodesia. For protection, they had traveled by convoy across the guerrilla war-torn country. 2 general sessions were held, as well as a priesthood meeting and a mother's-daughters meeting.
This is the day of miracles, and whenever there cease, whenever there are no more miracles, there is no more God. As long as the Lord presides in this world, there will be these miracles.
I've been thrilled today to sit at the feet of a prophet, of a man who has dedicated his life to the service of the Lord.
Well, I think it was a wonderful experience having the prophet of the Lord visit our country.
And I don't think any man who was here today, or woman or child, will ever be the same again.
3 area conferences were held in South America. The first was in Montevideo, Uruguay. 9,000 from Uruguay and Paraguay attended.
My beloved brothers and sisters,
mis amados hermanos y hermanas,
what a great joy it is to return to this great land of Uruguay.
Qué gran gozo es poder regresar a esta gran tierra de Uruguay.
While in Uruguay, President Kimball visited that country's president, Dr. Aparicio Mendez. Church leaders placed a wreath at the monument of Jose Artigas, the George Washington of Uruguay. Buenos Aires, Argentina was the site of the second South American conference. 11,200 attended. Events from the Book of Mormon were dramatized in a memorable cultural program. In Buenos Aires, as elsewhere in South America, the prophet and other general authorities admonished members to
remember that the worth of souls is great in the sight of God, and it's the purpose of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to do all in its power to save souls.
The third and last area conference was held in Sao Paulo, Brazil, in conjunction with the dedication of the Sao Paulo Temple. The cultural program concerned the sacredness of temples and was 2 years in preparation. Attendance at the 4 general sessions of conference, held in Ibirapuera Stadium, averaged around 8,000.
South America gives us many, many hopes for the future. It looks to us like there's almost no end to the growth and development. We have an immense population, here in South America, especially in Brazil, and we hope that there will be many, many people who will be converted to the gospel and join the church and become a part of this growing process in this tremendously important part of the kingdom.
Beginning with a trip to South Africa and ending with a conference in Sao Paulo, the prophet had traveled 25,000 miles in 3 weeks. Plans were announced in February to build a temple on a 15-acre site in southwestern Salt Lake County. Known as the Jordan River Temple, it would be Utah's 7th. In May, over 105,000 people, 80% non-members, toured the remodeled Hawaiian temple. The 59-year-old temple had been expanded to nearly twice its original size. President Kimball rededicated the temple in mid-June. 700 church leaders and their wives attended the first session held in the temple. Over 7,000 members attended the 8 other sessions held in the large auditorium on Brigham Young University Hawaii campus. Near the end of May, groundbreaking and site dedication ceremonies were held for the Seattle Temple, being built on 23 wooded acres in Bellevue, Washington.
We dedicate and consecrate this plot of ground now owned by thy church for the building of a holy temple. We ask thee to guide, sustain, and prosper all who participate in the construction of this edifice.
The temple will serve 200,000 members in the northwestern United States and British Columbia. In September, in Sao Paulo, Brazil, 70,000 visited the new Sao Paulo temple during a month-long open house. On October 30th, President Kimball, with 8 other general authorities, dedicated the gleaming white edifice. In all, 10 dedicatory sessions were held. 300 priesthood leaders and their wives attended the first session in the temple. The other sessions were held in the adjacent Stake Center. In remarks preceding the dedicatory prayer, the prophet said he could see the day when there will be scores of temples throughout South America. Some of the brethren felt the presence of Nephi and other Book of Mormon leaders at the dedication.
The temple are very important for the Brazilian people because all of us can now do our endowments here and we can get married for eternity.
I heard the prophet say that this temple is the #1 building in the whole South America, and I agree with him.
The temple is a tremendous blessing for us Brazilians. We are waiting for the temple since the church started here in Brazil, 45 years ago.
The first time I passed by the celestial room, I could hear angels singing there.
Clearly, the church's 148th year was one of the most momentous in modern memory. The holy priesthood for every worthy male member. Temple building and dedication on a worldwide scale. An average of 1 new branch or ward every day. And increased emphasis in the role of LDS women. And yet, eventful as the year was, many who were part of it sensed that they had seen but the beginning. This was the Church in Action, 1978.